Down hers, Elena froze. She expected him to order his men to silence her, to erase her existence before she could breathe another word. But instead, he dismissed everyone else, leaving only him and her in the rain-soaked alley. He walked closer, slow and deliberate, until his shadow swallowed hers. "You've got fire in your eyes," he said, his voice deep, steady, laced with something that felt more intimate than it should have. Dangerous kind of fire. Elena hated the way her chest tightened. She hated how her instincts told her to run. Yet her body betrayed her, rooted to the spot as if drawn to him. "Whatever you're doing," she forced out, trying to sound stronger than she felt, "I don't want any part of it." "I didn't see anything." His lips curved into a smirk, and the rain slid over the sharp lines of his jaw. "That's the problem, sweetheart. You saw me, and no one walks away the same after that." From that night on, Damien did not let her go. He appeared where she least expected him, outside her campus, near her apartment, in the corners of the city she thought belonged only to her. He was not asking for her attention. He was claiming it, weaving himself into her life in ways she couldn't control. Elena tried to hate him. She told herself he was everything wrong with Chicago violence, crime, power dressed in arrogance. Yet every time he looked at her, every time his voice lowered as if it was meant for her alone, she felt that dangerous pull. It was like standing too close to a fire, knowing it would burn but unable to step back. Damien was ruthless, but with her, there were cracks in his armor. His touch, when it finally came, was not just about possession but something raw, something that stripped away the walls she built around herself. And Elena, against all her better judgment, found herself falling into him not because he was safe, but because he was the most dangerous choice she could ever make. In Chicago, their connection became a secret war. Every look, every argument, every stolen night blurred the line between hate and desire. Elena swore she would never belong to a man like Damien. Damien swore he would never let her go. And in a city where loyalty was bought with blood, their love grew into something that was destined to consume them both. Days after that night, Elena tried convincing herself it had just been bad luck, that she would never cross paths with Damien Blackwood again. But the city had a cruel sense of humor. She saw him outside her campus the following week, leaning against a sleek black car, watching her like he had all the time in the world. Students walked past, whispering about the expensive car and the man who looked like sin, wrapped in power. He didn't move until she got close enough, and then he fell into step beside her, as if it were the most natural thing. "You shouldn't be here," she hissed, keeping her eyes forward. "You shouldn't have looked at me that night," he replied smoothly. "But here we are." His voice wasn't raised, but it was enough to send a shiver racing down her spine. She tried ignoring him, but he walked with her, his presence impossible to shake off. Elena spent the next week suffocating under his shadow. He didn't threaten her outright, didn't touch her without permission, but he had a way of cornering her with his words, of reminding her that she was already tied to him, whether she admitted it or not. When she finally confronted him outside the library one evening, her frustration boiled over. "What do you want from me?" she demanded. "Because I'm not some girl you can follow around like a game." Damien stepped closer, his gaze locked on hers, sharp and unwavering. "This isn't a game. You saw me when you shouldn't have, and instead of running, you stared me down like you weren't afraid. That doesn't happen often, Elena. People fear me. But you burned." His voice dropped lower. "And I don't walk away from fire." His words unsettled her, because deep down, she knew part of her didn't want him to walk away either. It was wrong. Every instinct told her it was wrong. But at night when she lay awake, she thought about his voice, his stare, The way his presence made her feel alive in a way nothing else ever had. The first time he touched her was in a bar downtown. Elena had gone with a group of classmates to celebrate finishing exams, trying to forget the storm Damien had dragged into her life. But he was already there, sitting in the corner booth like he owned the place, his gaze finding hers the second she walked in. She pretended not to see him, tried to lose herself in the noise and the crowd. But when a drunk guy grabbed her wrist too hard, Damien was suddenly there. His hand closed over hers, pulling her free with a grip that was firm but careful. His other hand landed on the guy's shoulder, and without raising his voice, he leaned in close. "Let go before I break every finger you just put on her."